Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into a wellness practice that's really getting a lot of buzz, sound bath healing.
Hmm.
You often hear it described as being bathed in sound waves. It's a neat metaphor, right? For being completely enveloped by sound.
It is.
Hmm.
And for this deep dive, our mission is really to peel back those layers. We've gathered, well, quite a stack of sources, analytical reports, historical perspectives, scientific reviews, to really get a handle on what a sound bath is, where it comes from, how it might work, and importantly, what the evidence actually tells us.
Yeah, because this isn't just about, chilling out, though that's definitely part of it. It's meant to be a unique experience, fundamentally different from just putting on some calming music.
Right.
Our goal here is to give you a shortcut, basically, to getting properly informed on this, especially if you've ever, like me sometimes, struggled with traditional meditation and that that noisy monkey mind.
We'll definitely unpack what makes it different. We'll dig into its surprisingly ancient origins, explore the really cool instruments they use, and then, yeah, take a critical look at the science and the practical stuff for anyone curious.
Okay, let's unpack it then. So, what is a sound bath, really? Looking at our sources, it's presented as this full body, deeply immersive meditative thing.
Hmm.
You lie down, usually super comfortably, like in savasana and yoga, and you just listen. The practitioner creates this whole complex soundscape around you.
And the idea is to gently guide you into, well, altered states of consciousness, deep relaxation.
What I found fascinating, and maybe the biggest takeaway here, is its core feature.
It's passive.
Exactly. Think
Yeah.
about normal meditation. You're actively trying to focus, right,
Yeah.
on your breath or a mantra. You're constantly pulling your mind back.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Right. But in a sound bath, your job is just reception, pure reception. You just let these layers of sound wash over you. The sound itself guides your brain toward calm without you having to consciously wrestle with your thoughts. So it's like meditation that sort of does the heavy lifting for you.
In a way, yeah, that's a big draw for people who find that active mental discipline really tough. That monkey mind barrier we mentioned. The continuous, engaging sound, but specifically non-distracting sound. It just naturally captures the brain's attention. It helps quiet that internal chatter.
And the sound itself is specific, isn't it? It's not like listening to a song.
Not at all. It's intentionally non-melodic and non-rhythmic. Practitioners actively avoid recognizable beats or catchy tunes because those engage the analytical parts of your brain.
Ah.
The goal is this wash of instrument and voice, as one source put it, with lots of resonance and overtones, sounds that encourage your brain to just let go.
And the overall aim from the practitioner's view.
It's using sound and vibration to achieve really profound rest, maybe shift consciousness a bit, and foster a sense of inner harmony. You'll hear talk about clearing discordance or balancing energy fields.
Right, that energy field language comes up a lot.
It does. And it's important to see how our sources navigate this. Practitioners use that language, but the scientific angle we'll get into focuses more on measurable effects, nervous system, brain waves, rather than, concepts of subtle energy that aren't really proven. It's like a bridge.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think, and maybe surprising. Sound healing often feels like a very modern, new age thing.
Right, like it just popped up.
Exactly. But what the research shows is, wow, it's a deeply rooted tradition. Goes back millennia. Across so many different cultures, it's not new at all. It's more like a rediscovery.
Totally. The lineage is incredibly old. Ancient, really.
Yeah.
Think about Australian Aboriginal peoples using the didgeridoo, potentially, for 40,000 years.
40,000, wow.
Yeah, using it to treat physical issues, like broken bones. And then you have ancient Egyptians, Babylonians using drums, rattles. And now science is catching up, understanding how low-frequency sound, even ultrasound, can potentially speed up healing.
It's amazing, even the ancient Greeks.
Yep. Physicians like Hippocrates apparently used flutes and lyres for mental health stuff like anxiety and to help people sleep. The threads are just everywhere you look in history.
Incredible. And it wasn't just physical, right? There was a strong spiritual connection, too.
Absolutely. Look at ancient Indian Nada yoga, the yoga of sound. The belief was that harmonious sounds, vibrations, could literally heal at a cellular level. They used chants, mantras to balance energy centers, the chakras.
And the Tibetan singing bowls we hear about.
Used for centuries by monks in spiritual ceremonies. And shamanic traditions, across the Americas, Africa, drumming, rattles, chanting, were central to inducing trance states for healing and insight.
It even influenced architecture.
Yeah, things like healing temples, even Gothic cathedrals were often designed with specific resonance in mind. often near water, trying to harness sound, light, maybe even natural magnetic forces.
Yeah.
Shows how deeply ingrained this idea was.
So, with all this ancient history, what happened? How did it fade from Western view?
Well, the sources suggest it largely did disappear from mainstream Western thought for centuries. Then in the 20th century, it starts getting rediscovered, but this time through a more scientific lens.
Okay, the revival.
Exactly. You had pioneers like Dr. Alfred Tomatis in the 40s, using modified music for cognitive benefits.
Hmm.
Sir Peter Guy Manners in the 60s, researching voice frequencies for things like arthritis.
Yeah.
Then Fabien Mama in the 70s and 80s, he really pushed tuning fork therapy, even did some early research on sound effects on cells, though that's quite controversial now.
Hmm.
And this all kind of paved the way for more formal structures, like Simon Heather founding the UK Sound Healers Association in the 90s.
So the sound bath we see today is really a blend, a modern synthesis.
Perfectly put. It mixes these ancient instruments and that spiritual language, balancing chakras, with this modern desire for scientific grounding, sometimes referencing things like quantum physics or medical ultrasound, even if just as analogies. It's bridging those worlds.
Okay, so if someone's thinking about trying one now, what instruments are they likely to hear? You called the collection a sonic pharmacopoeia based on the sources?
Yeah, it's a great term for it. Each
Cool.
instrument is chosen for specific acoustic qualities and perceived functions.
And the most famous ones?
Probably the Tibetan singing bowls, right? Also called Himalayan bowls. These are the ancient ones, hand-hammered metal alloys used by monks.
What do they sound like?
They produce these incredibly rich, complex, harmonic overtones when you strike them or run a mallet around the rim. Very resonant. They're often associated with moving energy, balancing body systems, deepening meditation.
And then there are the crystal ones. They look quite different.
I do. Crystal singing bowls. And their origin is fascinating. They only emerged in the 1980s, and not from ancient traditions, but from the tech industry.
Seriously, tech.
Yeah, from quartz crucibles used to make silicon for things like solar panels. They're made of silica sand, so they're actually amorphous glass, not, natural quartz crystals.
But they sound different.
Very different. They produce these incredibly pure, almost ethereal high-frequency tones, really sustained and powerful, often described as feeling like the sound is circling inside your head.
And they're often linked to the chakras.
Very much so. You often find sets tuned to specific musical notes that are thought to correspond to the body's 7 main energy centers. They aim for focus, clarity, lightness.
Okay, so Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls. What else is key?
Gongs. Definitely gongs. Ancient, powerful instruments, often the real centerpiece of a sound bath.
How ancient.
Bronze Age, Southeast Asia. Used for thousands of years in ceremonies, communication, you name it. You get different kinds. Symphonic gongs, planetary gongs tuned to celestial frequencies, the classic Chow gong.
And their sound is intense.
Oh yeah, deep, powerful, reverberating sound that totally fills the space. And the vibrations are strong. You feel them in your body, not just hear them.
What's a perceived effect of the gong?
Practitioners and participants often feel they're the most potent for clearing stuck energy, releasing deep physical and emotional tension, and inducing these really deep, expanded states of awareness. They command attention.
So those are the big three, maybe? Bowls and gongs? Is there more?
Absolutely. There's a whole supporting cast in the toolkit. You might hear tuning forks.
Like for tuning pianos?
Originally, yes, but adapted for healing back in the 70s, they produce a pure single tone. Practitioners might apply them directly to acupressure points to work on specific blockages.
Interesting. What else?
Chimes, things like koshi chimes, often tuned to elements like water or fire or tingsha, those little Tibetan symbols. They add light, bright, high-frequency sounds, good for lifting mood or marking transitions in the session.
Okay.
Drums, too. Maybe shamanic frame drums for those primal rhythmic beats that can be grounding or help induce trance-like states. Or an ocean drum, which beautifully mimics the sound of waves. Very calming. And we absolutely cannot forget the human voice. Chanting, toning, singing mantras as one of the oldest forms of sound healing there is.
Yeah.
Hugely important.
Wow, so it can be a really diverse soundscape. The sources seem to map specific roles to each.
They did try to categorize the common associations. Tibetan bowls, deepening meditation, balancing energy, crystal bowls, chakra work, clarity, focus, gongs, deep release, clearing blockages, expanded awareness, tuning forks, targeted work on specific points, chimes, uplifting, clearing, transitions, shamanic drums, grounding, trance, rhythm.
It really highlights how different each sound bath could potentially feel.
Absolutely. Depends entirely on the practitioner and the instruments they choose to weave together.
Okay, so we know what it is, the history, the instruments. But how does it actually work beyond the, spiritual language? Is there a scientific angle?
There is. And while practitioners use that traditional language, the observable effects are being explored through things like psychoacoustics, neurology, physiology. It's less magic, more like a psychophysiological cascade, a chain reaction in your body and mind.
Okay, cascade, I like that. What's the starting point?
The core concepts are resonance and entrainment. The theory goes that everything, including your body's cells and organs, vibrates at a natural frequency. Stress or illness might create dissonance, like being out of tune.
Right.
So the idea is that sound healing introduces a strong, coherent frequency, and your body, through resonance, is sort of coaxed back towards its harmonious state. Think about medical ultrasound breaking up kidney stones. It uses focused sound waves. It's an analogy, obviously much less intense here, but it's about vibrations influence.
That makes intuitive sense, like tuning an instrument. And entrainment, that sounds familiar.
It's a really well-documented phenomenon.
Yeah.
Brainwave entrainment. Your brain naturally tends to synchronize its electrical cycles, its brainwaves, to external rhythmic stimuli, like sound.
So the sound bath music or soundscape actually changes your brainwave.
That's the goal. Normally during the day, you're mostly in beta brainwaves, alert, focused, problem-solving. A sound bath aims to guide your brain gently down into lower frequencies associated with relaxation. Alpha waves. That's relaxed, wakeful calm, peaceful awareness, theta waves, deeper meditation, dreamlike states, creativity. The sources mention these can be stimulated by specific emotional intonations from the practitioner, not just random noise, but particular tones designed to evoke this state, and maybe even delta waves, the slowest ones, linked to deep, restorative, dreamless sleep.
Wow. So shifting brainwaves is key. And that connects to stress relief how?
Because that shift directly helps regulate your autonomic nervous system, the ANS.
Yeah.
You've got the sympathetic branch, your fight or flight stress
Yeah,
response.
like accelerator.
Exactly. And the parasympathetic branch, your rest and digest system.
Mm-hmm.
The brakes, the recovery system.
Okay.
The specific soundscape of a sound bath, non-melodic, soothing, resonant, is designed to deactivate that sympathetic stress response and strongly activate the restorative parasympathetic system.
And you can actually measure that.
Oh yeah. This shift leads directly to measurable physiological changes. Heart rate slows down, blood pressure can drop, breathing deepens and becomes more regular.
So the healing isn't some mystical thing necessarily. It's about skillfully triggering your body's own self-regulating restorative processes using sound as the key.
That's a great way to put it. Your body's innate wisdom unlocked by sound. And researchers are digging deeper, looking into psychoacoustics, trying to identify the specific active components. What is it about certain sounds, even non-musical ones, or the human voice that's most effective?
Interesting. Now, you mentioned Flavien Mamon's early cell research, and sometimes people mention quantum physics. How does mainstream science view those claims?
Critically, it's really important to separate the plausible mechanisms like brainwave entrainment and nervous system regulation from more speculative ideas. While Mawan's early work was pioneering, it wasn't peer-reviewed to modern standards, and claims about directly affecting cells with sound to treat diseases, especially serious ones like cancer, are highly controversial and not supported by current scientific evidence. The quantum references are usually very loose analogies, not literal physics.
Got it. Stick to the measurable. Brainwaves, nervous system.
For now, that's where the solid ground is.
Okay, we've covered history, mechanisms, but the crucial question, what does the actual scientific evidence say about whether sound baths work?
Right, the million-dollar question. What our deep dive into the literature shows is that it's a nascent field, but it's expanding?
Nascent meaning still early days.
Exactly. Lots of anecdotal reports, lots of enthusiasm, but rigorous empirical evidence is still catching up. Many studies are small-scale, observational, often lack proper control groups.
Which makes it hard to say for sure that the sound itself caused the effects.
Precisely. You can't draw definitive causal conclusions. Researchers are consistently calling for more high-quality, large-scale randomized controlled trials, RCTs.
But despite those limitations, is there anything promising?
Oh, definitely. There's promising preliminary evidence. For instance, a key observational study from 2016 looked at 62 adults undergoing Tibetan singing bowl meditation.
What did they find?
Statistically significant reductions in self-reported tension, anger, fatigue, and depressed mood. Plus, an increase in feelings of spiritual well-being.
Okay, that sounds good.
And what really jumped out at me was this. The biggest drop in tension was seen in people who were new to meditation.
Ah, So it suggests it might be particularly helpful for beginners, an easier entry point.
That's the implication, yeah, really accessible. And then there was a 2018 RCT, a stronger study design with 60 patients about to have surgery.
Pre-op anxiety is huge.
Exactly. They found that patients who listened to singing bowl music had significantly lower anxiety and more stable heart rate variability, a good measure of stress resilience compared to a control group, so a measurable stress reduction effect in a stressful situation.
That's compelling. Any other studies?
There was a small meta-analysis in 2020 pooling data from 4 previous studies. It concluded there was evidence supporting improvements in general well-being, including reductions in distress, anxiety, depression, and even some effect on pain.
Pain reduction keeps coming up. The 2016 study mentioned it too. Is there any science explaining why sound might affect pain beyond just relaxation?
This is where it gets really interesting on a biological level. A 2022 NIH-funded study, so high-quality research, but on mice found something specific.
Okay, what did they find in the mice?
They identified a specific neural pathway running from the auditory cortex hearing center to the thalamus, a pain processing hub. They discovered that low-intensity sound, like whisper level, actually reduced the activity of neurons along this pathway.
So the sound directly dampened the pain signals in the brain.
In mice, yes, it effectively blunted pain perception. Now, we need studies to confirm this in humans, but it provides a really strong, biologically plausible mechanism for how sound might directly influence pain perception. It's not just distraction.
Fascinating. But we need caveats, right? What's the fine print on these findings?
Absolutely crucial caveats. First, while sound baths seem promising for managing symptom stress, anxiety, maybe pain perception, there is zero scientific evidence that they can cure or treat the underlying cause of any medical condition.
Right. Wellness support, not medical treatment.
Exactly. Any claims by practitioners that go beyond that into curing diseases are just not backed by current research. That distinction is vital.
And the elephant in the room, the placebo effect.
Huge factor, and incredibly difficult to control for in these studies. Think about it. The calm setting, lying down, the intention to relax, your expectation of feeling better. All of that contributes powerfully to the experience.
So it's hard to isolate the effect of the sound waves themselves from everything else going on.
Very hard. Researchers are aware of it, but it's a major challenge. The sources consistently highlight these limitations and stress the need for more robust research to really pin down the specific effects of the sound itself.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's now curious to actually try a sound bath, what should they expect? Let's get practical.
All right, the practical guide. First up, preparation. Comfort is absolutely key. Wear loose, comfy clothes, nothing restrictive.
Like yoga clothes.
Perfect. Studios often provide mats, blankets, bolsters, but bringing your own can make it feel more personal and comfortable. Definitely grab a blanket. Your body temperature can drop when you relax deeply. Maybe a small pillow for under your knees, and an eye mask is great for blocking out light and helping you go inward.
Good tip. Anything else for prep?
Hydration. Drink water before you go and plan to drink some afterward too.
And mentally.
Yeah, mindset. Just arrive with an open mind. Try not to have rigid expectations because every session and every person's reaction is unique. Get there a bit early so you're not rushing. And please, turn off your phone. Completely off. Preserve the quiet for everyone.
Okay, so you're settled in. What happens during the session?
You usually walk into a calm space, often dimly lit, maybe with candles. You find your spot, lie down usually on your back. Head towards the practitioner is common.
How long does it last?
Typically 60 to 90 minutes. It often starts with the practitioner guiding you through a brief relaxation exercise, or maybe suggesting you set a gentle intention for your experience.
And then the sound starts.
Yep. Usually starts softly, maybe with chimes or a quiet bowl. Then practitioner gradually builds up the soundscape, layering different instruments. It will ebb and flow, get louder, quieter, different textures. Your only job, lie there and listen. Be receptive.
So what might you actually feel, physically, mentally?
It varies so much. Physically, many people feel profound relaxation, maybe tingling sensations, vibrations moving through the body. Sometimes your heart rate might feel like it's shifting. Falling asleep is super common and totally okay.
Good to know. And mentally?
Could be anything from your mind finally going quiet to entering vivid dreamlike states. Some people get creative insights. Others have moments of deep clarity or peace.
Now, you mentioned earlier this idea of emotional release. That sounds potentially intense.
It can be, and it's really important people know this is possible. While many feel blissed out, sometimes a sound bath can bring up stored emotions, sadness, grief, frustration. tears might come unexpectedly.
Is that bad?
Not at all. It shouldn't be seen as negative. It's often considered part of the therapeutic process. The soundscape creates this safe space where those feelings can surface and be acknowledged without judgment. The goal isn't just to feel good momentarily, but to allow this internal process, which might be challenging, to unfold naturally.
Okay, so be open to whatever comes up. And then afterward, the integration part.
Right. The practitioner won't just stop abruptly. They'll gradually decrease the sound, guiding you back into silence for a few minutes. This lets the vibration settle, lets you reorient.
Gentle landing.
Exactly. Then they'll gently bring you back to full awareness, maybe suggest some small movements, stretching, before you slowly sit up afterward. Keep hydrating. Take it easy if you can. Avoid rushing into anything strenuous. Just let the effects integrate.
And the effects can last.
Often, yes. Many people report sleeping incredibly well that night and feeling a continued sense of calm or clarity the next day. It can be cumulative.
Okay, this term sound healing covers a lot of ground. How does a sound bath specifically differ from, say, music therapy? They sound similar.
The crucial distinction our sources made very clear. The biggest difference is between a general wellness practice like a sound bath and the actual clinical healthcare profession of music therapy.
Music therapy is more official.
Much more. Music therapy is a structured, evidence-based discipline. It's led by a board-certified music therapist who works with clients to address specific, measurable goals: cognitive, physical, emotional, social. It often involves active participation, like playing instruments or songwriting, and it's part of a formal treatment plan.
So sound baths are definitely not music therapy.
Correct. Absolutely not. A sound bath is largely unregulated. It's a wellness experience aimed at general relaxation, maybe self-discovery. The facilitator creates an environment. They aren't providing clinical therapy. It's passive, experiential. The focus is on your relationship with the sound, not a therapeutic relationship with a clinician.
Got it. Therapeutic, perhaps, but not therapy.
Exactly. And how does it compare to traditional meditation, like mindfulness? Both aim to quiet the mind. True, the goal might overlap, but the method is fundamentally different. Traditional meditation, mindfulness, vipassana, these are active mental workouts.
Right, you have to do something. Focus, notice, redirect.
Precisely. You need disciplined attention on an internal anchor, like your breath, and you consciously bring your mind back when it wanders, often done in silence to minimize distractions.
But a sound bath uses sound as the main event.
Exactly. It's a passive practice of reception. Instead of minimizing external stuff, it creates this rich sensory environment where the sound itself becomes the anchor. You don't need to actively suppress thoughts. The immersive sound naturally guides the mind.
Which goes back to why it's accessible for beginners.
Absolutely. For people who find the silence and the active focus of traditional meditation really challenging, a sound bath offers a different pathway, maybe an easier one initially. Meditation made easy, you could almost call it, leading to similar states of calm.
So, summarizing those comparisons. Goal: sound bath, general relaxation, music therapy specific clinical goals, traditional meditation, mind training. Role: sound bath, passive reception, music therapy, active participation. Traditional meditation, active mental effort. Practitioner: sound bath facilitator, music therapy credentialed therapist, traditional meditation instructor self-guided. Mechanism: sound bath entrainment nervous system, music therapy therapeutic relationship musical interventions, traditional meditation focused attention discipline. Regulation: sound bath largely unregulated, music therapy regulated profession, traditional meditation unregulated lineages.
That sums it up nicely. Clear distinctions.
Okay, safety. While it seems gentle, you mentioned it's not for everyone. What are the important safety considerations?
Super important topic. First rule: if you have any pre-existing health condition, talk to your doctor before going to a sound bath. Always.
Okay. What are the specific conditions where people need to be cautious or maybe avoid it altogether? The contraindications.
Right. The main ones highlighted are pregnancy. Especially the first trimester is a time for caution due to fetal development. Some also advise caution late in the third trimester, theoretical concerns about strong vibrations or sound-releasing oxytocin and potentially inducing labor, though evidence is limited. Best to check with both doctor and practitioner. Epilepsy seizure disorders. Definitely contraindicated if you have sound-sensitive epilepsy. For other types, there's a theoretical risk that certain frequencies or sudden loud gong sounds could trigger a seizure. Again, medical advice is crucial. Medical implants. Pacemakers, insulin pumps, deep brain stimulation (DBS) devices. Strong vibrations could potentially interfere with electronic implants. While some debate the risk level, especially for modern pacemakers, the precautionary approach is widely recommended. Severe mental health conditions, things like schizophrenia, psychosis, severe PTSD, or maybe unmanaged bipolar disorder. The intense emotional release or altered states could be overwhelming or triggering without proper clinical support. Consult your mental health provider first. Metal implants, non-electronic, like pins, plates, artificial joints. Less clear-cut, but there's a possibility strong vibrations could cause discomfort or resonance. Worth mentioning to the practitioner, hearing issue sound sensitivity. Conditions like hyperacusis, extreme sound sensitivity, severe tinnitus, or certain types of vertigo could make the experience painful or worsen symptoms.
Okay, that's a clear list. But even if you don't have those, are there other potential downsides or adverse effects?
Yes, even for generally healthy folks, things can occasionally go sideways. Emotional overwhelm. We talked about emotional release being therapeutic, but if you're unprepared or the facilitator isn't skilled or trauma-informed, it can feel distressing.
Yeah.
Making sure the practitioner knows how to hold space is key. Physical discomfort. Some people report temporary dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea, maybe a headache afterward. Could be nervous system shifts, maybe detoxification effects. Hydration and grounding help. Anxiety agitation. Ironically, it can sometimes cause anxiety. Usually this points to a poorly run session, sounds too loud, too chaotic, instruments played invasively close.
So the practitioner's skill really matters here.
Hugely. That leads to the last risk, practitioner incompetence. Because it's largely unregulated, you can get unskilled practitioners who create negative or even unsafe experiences through improper technique or volume. Vetting the practitioner is really important for safety.
Right. Understanding these factors seems vital for both participants and practitioners.
Absolutely. Responsible participation and facilitation require awareness of all this.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big picture from this deep dive into sound bath healing?
I think it shows us it's this really complex, fascinating thing sitting right at the crossroads of ancient spiritual practice, modern wellness culture, and emerging science. It feels like a distinctly modern synthesis, really tailored to the stresses of our time.
Yeah, we've learned it's this passive, immersive way to meditate using resonant sound, not melody, to guide you into relaxation. And its big appeal seems to be that accessibility, it offers a way into meditative states without that active mental effort many find so hard.
Exactly. And the proposed ways it works, brainwave entrainment, regulating the autonomic nervous system, that these are biologically plausible. We're seeing a growing, though still small, body of evidence supporting benefits for mood, stress, anxiety, maybe even pain perception.
But, and this is the crucial but, for listeners, there's a definite gap. A gap between those scientifically supported benefits, mainly around stress and well-being, and the much bigger claims some practitioners make about treating specific diseases or directly manipulating cellular energy.
That distinction is critical. Differentiating evidence-based wellness support from unsubstantiated medical claims is vital. And remembering it's not risk-free, understanding the contraindications and potential issues is essential, especially in an unregulated field.
Looking ahead, what's needed? Where does the research go from here?
Sources were unanimous. We need more rigorous science. Large-scale RCTs, comparing live sound baths to recordings to other music, even to silence, to really isolate the unique effects of the live immersive sound experience.
Pin down what makes it special.
Exactly. And more mechanism-based research like that NIH mouse study on pain pathways to really understand how it works neurologically and physiologically. Plus, digging into those active components, what specific acoustic properties matter most. What about the human voice? Lots to explore.
And for the field itself, as it grows.
Standardization would be huge. Standardized training, clear ethical guidelines, maybe some form of professionalization that would enhance public safety and definitely lend more credibility to the practice.
So the bottom line for someone listening.
Sound bath healing absolutely shouldn't be seen as a replacement for medical treatment, but its potential as a low-cost, low-tech, and very accessible tool for managing the stress and anxiety that are just so pervasive today, that potential is significant.
It really is a compelling story, this ancient art getting a fresh look through a modern scientific lens. It definitely warrants more investigation, both scientifically and experientially.
Agreed.
So next time you hear about a sound bath, hopefully you feel much more informed about its incredible journey, its potential, and also its limitations. And maybe, just maybe, you'll feel equipped to decide if it's something you want to explore further yourself.